Well, welcome back to Trigonometry Day 2. Today we're going to go one step further in our discussion of the trigonometric ratios. We're going to learn how to solve for an unknown side length of a triangle. So I'm going to have to give you an acute angle, one side length, and then you will be asked to find another. But before we begin to solve, we will need to have a scientific calculator that has the following buttons. I'm going to need to make sure that you guys have the sine. It's not sin, it's sine, cosine, and tangent buttons. So we are in geometry class, and because we're in geometry class, all the triangles we look at will be in degree mode. So they're going to be in terms of degrees. So you need to make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. I'm going to be talking about the TI calculator. So if you have a TI calculator, you're going to need to get it out. If you're using one of the apps, you're going to need to find out how to get that into degree mode. So on the TI calculator, if you have a Texas Instrument calculator, you're going to have to press the mode button. If you guys are looking at your calculator, you'll see a blue and a green button, the second button, and the alpha key is the green button. If you go to the right of the blue button, the second button, you will see mode. So you'll press the mode button. And then you'll scroll down, I think it's just 2 downs on your calculator there, and you'll see the words radian and degree. For some of us, our calculator will probably have a black box around radian. We do not want that black box around radian. We want that around degree. So what you're going to do is you're going to press the right arrow key to go to degree, and then press enter. And that box should be highlighted on degree now. So your calculator will be in degree mode. So once you have it in degree mode, I want everybody to press the blue button, the second button, and then you'll press mode, which is quit, and that should take you back to the home screen. So we're going to take a moment to make sure that everybody is in the proper mode. So I'm going to have you guys evaluate the following just to make sure, and we're going to make sure it's to the nearest 10,000, so we're going to round 4 decimal places for the following. So if I was to type in the sine of 42 on my calculator, so I'll press the sine button, 42, and then I'll close my parenthesis, so you should see this on your calculator screen. You press enter, you should get 0.6691. If you did not get 0.6691, you're probably not in degree mode. Again, if I do the cosine of 74, I should get 0.2756. If we type in on our calculator the tangent button, the tangent of 13, and close it, you should get 0.2309. And last check, if I was to type in the sine of 30, I'll get 1/2 or 5/10. If for some reason you did not get these, please make sure that you're back in degree mode, go back to the steps, or try to figure out on your calculator how you can get into degree mode. Let's move on to example number 2. You kind of see the keystrokes that already here, how you're going to solve this problem and find why, but the most important part is the setup. So I'm going to take a moment and talk about what we did yesterday, which is we had to write a ratio. Today, you're going to have to figure out what ratio you're going to need to write. And on the front page, I had the following. I had so, ka, toa. And I believe that if you write this out every time for the time being, you'll know how to solve these type of problems. So what we have to do is we have to look at our right triangle. So I have my right triangle here. and I need to take a look at what angle is provided. So this is my 7 degree. So that's going to be my viewpoint. And then I'm going to have to use this 7 degrees as my focal point on what side is opposite and what side is the hypotenuse and what side is going to be adjacent. So I like to label what is given to me. And again, I always told you that this right angle box points towards the hypotenuse. So I'm going to label this 5 feet. That's my hypotenuse. And then if I look at the 7 degrees and I think, okay, how does y relate to the 7-degree angle? And if we look at that, that is opposite. So I'm going to put opposite O. So if I was to look and decide, well, what ratio am I going to have to use? I have O and I have H. There's only one ratio that involves O and H, and that is the sine ratio. So I'm going to set up the sine ratio. I'm going to say that the sine of 7 is equal to, O stands for opposite, and the opposite side is y, and that is over 5, the hypotenuse. Now, I always like to stop right here and think, well, how am I going to solve this? And a lot of guys have difficulty understanding right here. So what I would suggest is to say, well, I could always put a number over the number 1, and it doesn't change my problem. And now we've seen thousands of these going back to chapter 7. To solve for the variable y, all you're going to need to do is cross multiply. So you're going to have to cross multiply to solve. So when I cross multiply, I get y, because 1 times y is y. Y is equal to, and that's going to be 5 times the sine of 7. Now, you might see right here, I have 60. That was when if I was to convert that to inches. So we're going to change these numbers on our calculator. How do I evaluate y? So this is going to be 5 times the sine of 7. Or all you have to do is press 5, the sine button of 7, and you press enter, and you should get 0.6093. But I said I want you to round this to the nearest tenth. So remember, this is the 10th spot right here. So I have to look at that 0. It doesn't round up. So my answer is simply 0.6. And I'm finished. All right, let's look at example number 3. It says to find the value of the variable. So again, I'm going to look at my triangle. I see that I have 54 degrees here. My right angle box is pointing to the hypotenuse, so I want to label that as H. And I see that W lies opposite of 54, so this is another sine problem. So I'll say the sine of 54 is equal to opposite W over 17. And you're probably wondering, Mr. No, why is it a sine problem if you use the word SOHCAHTOA? I know that sine involves O and H. So again, my secret, this does not change the problem. So now all I have to do is cross multiply, and I get W is equal to 17 times the sine of 54. If I do 17 times the sine of 54, I'm just going to type in 17, press the sine button, 54, press enter. I get 13.75. And again, it said to round this to the nearest tenth. So W is equal to 13.8. Looking at my second example here in the middle, I see here's my 28 degrees. If I look over here, this is the opposite side. So I'll label O, and then I see that W is on the adjacent side. So again, if we were to write out SOHCAHTOA, I see that I have O and A. So I'm going to say that the tangent of 28 is equal to 1 over W. Again, to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to put that over 1, the tangent of 28. Here we cross multiply. And this is where we get something that's a little bit different. I have W times the tangent of 28, and W times the tangent of 28, that equals 1. So what do you have to do to solve for W? Well, it says to multiply here, so how do you undo multiplication? You divide both sides by the tangent of 28. So I divide by the tangent of 28. So when I do that, I get W equals 1 over the tangent of 28. So on my calculator, you're going to type in 1, you're going to press the divided by sign, and then you're going to type in tangent 28, close the parenthesis, and you get 1.88, and to the nearest tenth, that means 1.9. Looking at the far right example, again, I'm going to have to write SOHCAHTOA. And when I do, I'm going to look for what is given to me. So I have my 33-degree angle here. I look, I see, 4.5 is on the hypotenuse. W is along the adjacent side. So this is going to be a cosine ratio. So I'll say the cosine of 33. The cosine of 33 is equal to adjacent side W over 4.5. I'm going to put the cosine of 33 over 1. So now we know how to solve. We will cross multiply. This one's straightforward. W is 4.5 times the cosine of 33. So on your calculator, just do 4.5. Press the cosine button, 33, close out your parenthesis. You get W is equal to 3.77. So W is 3.8 to the nearest tenth. All right, looking at the bottom left here, I've got 53 degrees for my angle. Again, this is the O and this is the H, so I'm going to set it up. I get the sine of 53. What is the sine of 53 equal to? It's x over 15. So we're going to put this over 1. We cross multiply. X is 15 sine of 53. So you should get that x is equal to 15 sine of 53. We get 11.97. Rounding this bad boy to the nearest tenth, that means x is approximately 12. I'm going to move all the way over to the far right on the bottom. And this is a tricky Ricky, but it's not really a tricky Ricky because I've got 28 degrees here. I got 42. That's going to be the opposite side. This is my adjacent side. So I have the tangent ratio now because it's SOHCAHTOA, O and A. So tangent of 28. What does the tangent of 28 equal? It equals 42 divided by x. Okay, I know the x is in the denominator, so this one's going to involve a little bit more work because we're going to have to solve for x. So I get x times the tangent of 28. What does that equal? That equals 42. How do I get x by itself? Because this says it's multiplication, I want to divide both sides by the tangent of 28. Divide by the tangent of 28. So when I do that, I get that x is equal to 42 over the tangent of 28. So on my calculator, we're going to do 42. We're going to divide that by the tangent of 28. When I do, I get 78.99. Uh-oh, again, rounding this to the nearest tenth. That is around 79. I hope you found this video to be helpful. So please check Schoology for your homework, and I hope you guys move on with success. Take care, men. Have a great day.